Uh, oh. Well met, witches, wizards, and everyone in between, and welcome back to the Lake of Voices. I'm just gonna get right into it, but just so you guys know, I've been trying to eat for like the last week, few days or so, and for some reason my jaw just consistently hurts. So I'm gonna go to the dentist about that. And talking is fine, it's eating that sucks, so I thought you guys just might want to know. Anyway, Bemele and I match his pace. I can feel the air weighing on us, a sensation that slows our steps despite being rested. Something hovers in my mind, the mere memory of the beginning of last night's journey. One day ago feels like a lifetime passed. The thick, inky water slushes reluctantly off the boards, leading back into the lake until it finally stills. A shudder crosses over my body as I place my foot on the boards, but I quickly shake it off. I have no other option. We have to go through this again. All tense as day-old corpses. We walk over the bridge in silence. The only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of the water at the bridge. Bemele stays close by my side with a sour expression on his face. He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust. He murmurs something beneath his breath, but it's inaudible. I decide not to ask about it. It wasn't meant for me to hear. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it's explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat is eerily absent, the prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths, and even those that may have been simply tricks of the fog. I feel I might be even more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Bemele's tenseness, he isn't as set at ease by their lack of presence either.
Why?
I whisper the question softly, almost silently as I scan left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I ponder whether they're still weary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if they are less dragging themselves across the bridges than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. My skin crawls with the touch of icy fingers at the thought, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. Bemele catches my concern and he brings himself closer to my ear.
This isn't right. It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
Could they be planning something?
Bemele lightly shakes his head. He speaks with suspicion. He speaks with suspicion in his voice as he peers at the guide ahead.
I don't know.
As time passes, we continue to see nothing but bridges and fog. More bridges and fog. More of that. More of it. We keep seeing more of it. Imagine, we're crossing the bridge at night and we just keep seeing more bridges and fog. Beside me, Bemele is becoming more and more agitated the longer we go without disruption. I can read Bemele longer. I swear I can read. I can read Bemele well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope we would be able to contain his feelings toward our lead until we put this maze behind us. That is becoming unlikely. Whew, I'm not tired. Wait, whew. I resolve to step in before he grows too heated, and there's yet another hazardous argument.
Your concentration is clouded, Bemele. What is troubling you?
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
Bemele glowers hatefully at the guide. I purse my lips for a moment before continuing, resigned.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
Bemele releases an exasperated sigh while crossly folding his arms. After this recording, I'm probably gonna have to take a break because it's getting harder to read this.
That is impossible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean by that?
Recall yesterday, I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters, and now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
My eyes widen and I stifle a gasp. The situation at hand is giving both of us a reason to think on the possibility that is absolutely unsettling, but its conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing us to die unnecessarily on purpose to make it less dangerous for the remaining few. That is not something I was prepared for.
Even back when we started, the first time I met the guy, he mentioned at least one of us must die before the journey is finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said that it was a price to pay for coming with him. The guy is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind so much of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew it was going to happen. He had to know.
Sacrifices must be made in order to cross the bridges alive. I think that's what he means. He's tried to cross the bridges before and make it with everyone alive, but I think the guide may have come to the conclusion himself that in order to make it cross alive with at least 3 people, someone has to die. Like, there has to be sacrifices. You have to pay the toll, and the toll is some people have to die in order to make it alive with the few that you have. And that's incredibly messed up. It's incredibly messed up. But I think that's such is life here. I take a few moments to breathe. Despite the danger, I only barely resist shutting my eyes against the world.
We need to make it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
My usual reply to Bamele's words does not make an impression. His eyes are not swayed. He continues to stare into me.
I'm saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There's too much danger and too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down. I can only hope Bamele will take it seriously.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
Bamele doesn't battle me further on the issue. His face no longer retains any anger, only sorrow. He returns his gaze straight ahead. Well, what did you want me to say, dude? Like, yeah, it's supremely messed up. I'm sorry. There's nothing else I can say. Our progress continues steadily, and we still encounter no significant difficulties.
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
Bamele's quiet, breaking question doesn't sound particularly enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Huh.
Bamele is unconvinced. It's not only I who notices. The guide suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side and looks back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Oh, now you have an issue with it.
Is there?
Come on. Don't do this. We've progressed through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time. Bamele's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming that fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Bamele has taken.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavily on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There were no sounds to cover our voices, however I had assumed we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves. He stares with such an icy expression I nearly freeze in place. Emily, on the other hand, heats up and grows more hostile. He leaves my side to rush into the guide's flickering light.
Don't.
Don't do it! Don't do anything rash, you idiot! This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the guide.
Am I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what I've done?
The guide isn't bothered at all by Bemele entering his space. He gives a level answer.
No.
Well, that's grand. In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
The guide pauses for a moment. His eyes close and he becomes completely still.
It's possible.
Bemele glares at the guide over the admittance, as if he heard nothing after the first line the guide spoke. The guide is unfazed.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end up like the others.
Bemele ends up speeches, caught off guard by the guards openly discussing his accusation. The guide continues at Bemele's silence, annoyance leaking into his voice.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently, but that is not true.
I caught on to that.
The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Lou?
Lou?
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There's no helping someone like that.
The guide sounds even more agitated as he elaborates. Bemele seems to be finished with being so surprised. His anger reignites.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone else?
The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl. He shouts,
I have died!
Oh. Yeah, you lost your dad, didn't you?
I have no life to give. Everything I am, everything I could have been, was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to stand before you now.
I couldn't understand a word you said because the piano's too loud. Hold on. Okay, that seems good. So if you, yeah, alright. If you couldn't hear what he said, he says, I have no life to give. Everything I am, everything I could have been was surrendered to this lake. It is the only reason I'm able to stand before you now.
I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer.
Yep, still can't hear you. Okay, hold on. Turn that up more. Turn the volume down more. I can show you the way. I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That's all I'll be able to offer. Let's see if that's good enough.
Is that not enough for you? What else do you want from me? Kindness? Sympathy? It's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything like that.
He finally stops to catch his breath, though the emotion in his eyes still shines intently. There's no response from either of us. An agonizing silence permeates the air. No one dares to even move. The tension is cut as the boards beneath me start to crack. My eyes dart down. The bridge is sinking rapidly. Instinctively, I jump backwards. But the new section of bridge runs horribly as it too starts to tilt to the water. They keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform. I move off him.
Kika!
I look up at Bemele's call. My chest tightens when I see him and the guide on what has become the other side of a small chasm. I leap back in time as the bridge under me snaps like a twig. Glancing over again, they keep getting farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. Desperately stumbling backwards, I finally manage to regain my balance. I use this to leap far enough back that the bridge I land on doesn't immediately start to fall apart under my weight. Another 3 steps and I am finally on sturdy wood. The bridge is reluctantly stopped, shifting and settle. The only trace of what was once a huge section of bridge is a few splintered boards floating in the murky water. The lake consumed it. Somehow I'm not surprised. Regaining my bearings, I face what has become of my circumstances. I am now separated from Bimeli and the guard by a far wider gorge than anyone could leap. My throat goes bone dry as I teeter at the end of the bridge, mind wildly scrambling for a solution that doesn't come. I lock onto Bimeli's face. He is completely aghast, darting from one side of the bridge to the other like a panicked animal. There is no mistaking that he's desperate to help me in some way. However, there's also no mistaking that there aren't any options available to him. He turns to the guide with pleading eyes, all his earlier hostility sunken with the bridges. I'm too far off to grasp what Bimeli is asking, but I get the impression he is seeing if there's another way. The guide turns to me. He's completely cooled down from the earlier interjection, back to his same placid expression. He focuses back on Bimeli, who now has gripped him by the cloak. The guide sends one word. Judging from the look of pure terror on Bimeli's face, I can only assume it was no. There's no way back to them. The guy frees himself from Bimeli's grasp and continues speaking. Bimeli still seems horribly shaken in his words. I can barely see from here. I think he's quivering. As I watch the two discuss my fate, unable to say anything, fear starts to crawl over me. My arms run cold to freezing. It's not long before the rest of my body follows. I notice Bimeli cover his face with his still shuddering hand. The guy's voice echoes loudly enough the water separating me from them.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find your own way.
Oh boy. I blink, taken aback for a moment, before I quickly regain my composure. That's right. This isn't over. I still have my lantern with me, the prowlers are less active, and the guide said that it's possible it could be true. I nod solemnly at his words and yell back.
I'll meet you there! Don't wait for me!
He bows his head and starts to slowly back away from the edge. Bimeli puts his hand to look at me. Even across the water, I can tell that he's crying. I smile forlornly at him as the wind whips across my back. I speak softly.
You need to go.
There's no way he could have heard me, yet I'm confident that the sentiment got across. I spin on my heels and run back the way we came, searching for a bridge the guide said to take. I can only hope that we all safely reunite before this night ends. I spare a brief glance behind me, however there's not a trace of them or even the dead end I was stranded at. With a painful contracting in my heart, I realize I'm truly alone now. Quickly, I shake off the thought and refocus my attention on what's in front of me. The first branching of the path comes into reach. I skid to a full stop in front of it. The path west is as dark and desolate as every bridge. It's impossible to see what's down the twisting way. I don't like that sound. It sounds like breathing. The previous conversation comes floating back to me. Now that I'm here, I must face the concern. Is the guide reliable? Can he be trusted? I had to leave so they could go on without being weighed down. That I don't regret. However, I can't help but wonder if the guide couldn't give me a proper suggestion because of the sinking bridges. A mistake could have been made. It's also possible he only gave Boss hope to keep the situation calm, or perhaps he did intentionally send me to the wrong path because it would be easier for them if I did not make it. I look between pathways. Based on my direction, it does seem as though the other options could potentially connect me to them before the west does. Yet, I cannot possibly know until I move forward. I need to make a decision. I'm gonna follow the guide's path. No, I cannot let doubt to take control. We've known from the beginning that there is only one path that has led travelers to safety. His. I will take the guide on his word. Without wasting an additional moment, I make my way across the western bridge. I walk at a moderately brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy where I need it. If the eeriness of the lake was disconcerting before, now it is overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to the span of my arms. I don't like it. The other silence was a comfort, despite how otherworldly it felt, but the whispering of the lake has started to stir now. I gulped despite myself. They've noticed me. As their chattering goes, I consider briefly if the others hear them as well, or if they've come out specifically because I am on my own. I straighten my back and walk more surely. I cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even consider keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely they would realize it is something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from wandering into dark places, I count my steps like we used to do in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Despite my best efforts, things are starting to get to me. My worries wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering in human voices, the feeling of vulnerability, the horrible thought of being hopelessly lost all melted together is consuming me. My pace breaks from the steady rhythm of my counting self. It quickens more as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk pace turns into long, frantic strides. Something in me whispers, "Faster, go faster, don't let them catch you," and I listen. I break into the run, like moving on landmines. Flashes of fear explode in my mind, and I drive my feet harder, faster, stronger along the path. Harder, faster, better, stronger. Till suddenly my sense of reason returns and I stop dead. My chest rises and falls with deep heaving breaths as I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds to be wicked laughs. I fight the urge to shout back at the creatures. This feels like a nightmare I will never wake up from. I take another breath and resume my measured progress. Even after the first crossroad, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. It is difficult to tell how much time has passed. It must be at least an hour, judging by how much energy I have expended. Since I recomposed myself, I have not stopped walking for a second. Despite how much time has worn on, the route still feels like an endless abyss. Then I hear a noise which causes a shuddering chill to creep down my spine. An uneven clicking, followed by a squelching sound. It's a prowler. I immediately turn to look behind me. There's nothing. I breathe out, relieved. My ears search for the source of the noise, but with all the babble the Nixie are making, the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it. The noise is drifting from one of the connecting paths up ahead. I faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The prowler has not arrived yet, but soon it will intercept with my own. I will not wait for it to reveal itself, leaving me two options. I can run past the bridge connection to get ahead of it, or turn back and find a new path to take. Let's go past it. I have faith that following the same path I've been for the best. I steel myself and build up speed. This feels like a bad idea. I get closer and closer to the branch with the lurking threat. I pick up my pace while I'm sprinting. I hear a gurgling hiss as I pass through the crossroad. I must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splash. It's still nearby. I look behind me to see if it's decided to come no further. Horrified, I realize it's pointedly following me. It is no longer mindlessly dragging itself through the blackness. I have become its target. Its limbs bend wildly and unnaturally. I don't like the sounds it's making. It looks as though it's barely keeping itself upright as its torso wobbles on its hips. That isn't stopping it from giving chase. I focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged. I can still hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward in that unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side. Catching me completely off guard, I lose my footing and slam into the damp surface of the bridge. My light falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Splashes and the excited stirring of many voices come from the lake. Why? How? Is it rotting? Or did they push the supporting beams? I left with no time to ponder the mystery as the monster draws near. I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch on the lantern and pull out a match. I have to slow down, at least briefly, to properly light the flame without it blowing out. With death still on my heels, I must not let one precious moment be wasted. I set on my plan with everything I have and begin to decrease my pace. Oh gosh, light the lantern! Moving as fast as I am capable, I place a lit match inside the lantern and the oil catches fire. As the flame grows, I can hear the awful footsteps behind me begin to peter out. I steal a glance behind me. It has truly stopped. The return of the light seems to catch it off guard, and thankfully it declines, coming closer. Okay, let's run. After a moment's reprieve to breathe, I rush forward once more, fighting isn't an option and I need to get away from that monster. I may not be able to run fast enough, however. I let out a scream as the prowler latches onto my body from behind. I made the wrong decision! I'm thrown to the ground again. The shock is great, the lantern slips from my hands, skidding across the bridge out of my reach. Because it came in contact with the light, the prowler drops itself back into the depths without attacking again. There's no time to feel a relief. Arms of other Nixie emerge from the water, reach up the side of the bridge, scraping at the boards as they try to get to me. I climb to my feet, but one of the creatures takes hold of me before I can properly stand. I'm dragged back down to the ground, my jaw smacking hard against the bridge as the Nix blindly pull me towards the edge. Other slimely clawed hands glare onto me as I jam my nails hard into the crevice in the bridge. I kick frantically at their silhouettes, but they keep pulling me closer to the edge. I curl my fingers around the uneven wood tighter. Despite all my efforts, there's no support. My bloody, splintered fingers became loose. Water engulfs my vision, heavy and cold, so thick I can't hear my own thrashing. I try to grab my sword, try to fight back, but I can't even get it out of the hilt. Resistance against me is all-encompassing. Something grabs my arm, then my wrist. I get pulled from side to side, further down, first one way and then the other. Water feels like a solid substance, and I'm being dragged against it is like I'm being pressed through something. My vision grows darker and darker. I can't tell whether I'm going lower or whether I'm losing consciousness. My arms flare to bring me closer where the surface is, but nothing is working. Complete darkness engulfs me. Was everything I've done worth it? I must believe that it was. Panic. Ah, I died. Well, that was Lake of Voices. That was fun. I enjoyed that one. Good soundtrack, excellent voice acting, the voices were nice, the story was good. I'm regretful that I didn't get to make it to the ending that I wanted, but it's still pretty good. I'll put the link down in the description if anyone else is interested in looking into this for themselves. And wow, that's all the things I missed. What's in bonus? There's no bonus. Well, let me click bonus. So I guess I have to get all the endings before I can see the bonus. Yeah. Put a link down in the description. You can play it for yourself, get all the endings if you want. It is free to play. And until then, if anyone would like to suggest me playing any other games you think would be fun to see me playing, comment them down below. And until then, my fellow witches, blessed be.